Hello and welcome to the Seven Figure Conversations with Asa Leveaux. I am your host, Asa Leveaux. You are in the right place at the right time for the right reason, and that is a promise. So if you are like, Asa, I don't know what this is all about. So let me give you a little bit of information. So Seven Figure Conversations, it started because I understood that I desired to be a seven-figure business owner. So let me be very transparent and upfront. That's why we bring in other people because I'm not there yet. However, I'm 4 clients away. Yes, only 4 clients away to make that a reality. And so I was like, okay, if I desire this for myself, if I know other people desire this for them too, then why don't I just start asking people questions like how they did it? Because I want to be consistently focused on that seven-figure number. I know it's not the be all end all. However, I know I want it. I know that that is a desire in my soul. I wake up, go to sleep with that passion, the same passion I had when I was 15, desiring my driver's license, like that, no matter what, like, yeah, that. So that's what I have. So if you have no idea what it is that I do, I transform industry experts to become industry icons in 4 steps without coaching. If that is something that resonates with you, feel free to go to aceleveau.com or you can go ahead and apply at apply.livingicon.co. But let me be very clear, that's not why you're here. That is so not why you're here. Today, you are here because we have somebody who has done the very thing that we desire to do. She has definitely reached the seven-figure mark in her business, and she's dope in real life. Like she's actually a cool person. I can say that myself. When you follow her, you smile. She's not someone that makes you sick to your stomach like another millionaire. No, no, this is a millionaire that has a heart. This is a millionaire that understands that there's something called life and how to be a part of that, but also someone who's very knowledgeable. So when I said that you are in the right place at the right time for the right reason, believe me, you are. And I'm going to allow her to tell her about herself. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on Jess. Hello, and how are you?
Hi, I'm great. Excited to be here. A lot of, I think, things that we can talk about wherever you want to take this.
Okay, great. So the first thing, and this is a type of question that I ask everyone in the beginning. I would like to know if we caught a glimpse at little Jess at 5 years old, what was she like?
Oh, um, I grew up incredibly poor, but I didn't know I was poor. I always had I lived on a farm in Kansas, and I had sisters, and we always had a good time. I feel like my parents gave us exactly what we needed, and I don't know, I played with goats and chickens and cows and things on our farm, but it was a good childhood. The only thing I would say is that I was the oldest, so I had a lot of pressure. I feel like as the oldest child, taking care of my siblings, and then understanding and knowing because my parents were very transparent with me about their choices in life. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. We didn't have a lot of money. I knew that, and I was very aware, which was good, but also bad. It kind of has created a number of money traumas and some things I had to work through into my adult life that I didn't necessarily realize that they were there, but they are, and sometimes pop up from time to time.
So I wasn't. So you've already started intriguing my brain about the money trauma, because I gotta say I think you're episode 7, and we have not talked about money trauma not once,
Oh,
and
wow.
that is so so significant. I remember being in Costa Rica with something called Awesomeness Fest presented by Mind Valley, and I was at a talk about trauma around money, and I would love to know. I know what I felt about it. I would love to know what insights, what has come up since your understanding of it, as well as your desire to alleviate yourself of those?
I didn't realize it was trauma. I just thought that I was undeserving of the things, of the success, of the money. And instead of taking it and receiving it for myself, I would sabotage, or if I had it, I would basically give it away to other people. And I really spent a lot of time figuring out why that was, kind of getting to the root of the matter. And I worked with a life coach, also have had therapy to just try to understand where this came from and why I had this belief that was this way. And then thinking about how I could let that go, because it was holding me back from being able to live my life the way I want to live it, but also be successful in my business.
I have a lot more to say about that. Like, so much more to say. Do you feel like you ever will get through your money trauma, or do you feel like it's almost like a disease like alcoholism? Like, hi, I'm Ace, I'm an alcoholic, even though I'm not. But is it more like that?
Um, I think I'm more aware, like where I am right now. I'm more aware and I have more tools. So like I said, I've been through a lot of therapy, life coach work. I am certified in neurolinguistic programming. So I have more tools, and I'm also a Reiki master. So I feel like when things start to pop up, I understand maybe what the resurfacing looks like, how I feel in my body, and then maybe some things that I can do to help work through that. But I don't necessarily think it goes away. I think you learn the tools, or you were put in a place with a person where you learn a lesson, and then you're able to kind of like almost level up in the video game. Like, you still have to deal with the turtle in Mario Brothers, even though you're in the higher level, but you know how to handle it. So I think for me, anyways, where I'm right now, that's where it is.
And being that aware of your own stuff, does that make you a better person when it comes to empathizing, doing your best to understand? Because I know with the work that you do in workology, you're leading teams, you're delegating a lot. So with that being said, when you are you better delegating and dealing with teams the more aware of yourself that you are?
I think so. There's a lot of self-awareness. For example, this week, you're pretty much my only meeting because I just got back from a psychedelic retreat, and
Oh,
we can talk about that in a minute. But
yes.
I told my team knows where I was, but I said to them, before I hopped on this call, because you're my first meeting of the week, I said, hey, I'm taking it easy this week. If you need me, you know where I'll be. But the way we've set up our team and our systems and the people that I have, like, they can function without me. In fact, my goal is later this year to not work for an entire month, so that maybe I can just enjoy and I don't know, reflect, spend some time with my family, find myself in a new and different way.
I love that you actually intend and you're planning the no work for a month. I mean, if you're at seven figures, you for the most part, people are having teams, and so if you're not able to, allow your team to be their best selves, then it's like the rest of us are thinking like, then why are we going for that? Why are we striving for that? So thank you for saying that that's even a
Sure.
desire of
I
yours. I
mean,
appreciate that.
I would say that the first time I even thought about, like, my life coach was like, "Hey, I she takes a week off like at the end of the month." And I was like, "Holy crap. I can't even imagine doing something like that." So we just started small. I started taking like Friday afternoons and Wednesday afternoons, and it's not like, yes, sometimes it was like a doctor's appointment, but a lot of it was just, hey, I'm going to go to an extra yoga class, or I'm going to spend some time with my kid. Maybe I'll go for a walk, things like that. Or if I wanted to work, I could, but it was my choice. Like, I wasn't having meeting after meeting after meeting. And the wheels didn't fall off. Um, my team was able to be better at troubleshooting and figuring things out for themselves versus relying on me to give them all the answers. And I just got to breathe, which that's something that I need more of, like less stress, just more room to better understand me and get to know myself.
And did the psychedelic trip help you get to know yourself better?
I think so. I'm honestly, it's been like 48 hours, 72 hours since all this went down. I'm still trying to understand. And I probably won't understand fully, maybe for 6 months or more. But I learned some things about myself. Now that I've been on this journey, there's more work to be done. So there's a daily sort of morning intake and an evening intake where you're writing your feelings, thoughts, and information so that in 90 days or the next time I meet with the group, I can kind of see the patterns. So it's not just, you know, doing the thing. It's now about, okay, what have I learned? And then being more intentional about it. And I think that is just life in general. Like I practice yoga daily, I meditate, I journal. This is just the next level for me or the next series of learning for that personal transformational change.
And with your business Workology, how do you think this psychedelic trip will up level or increase anything within that vein of your existence?
So, like from an HR, which is my business, it's in the human resources space, which is funny because I didn't necessarily intend for us to talk about psychedelics, but I'm going to go with it because it's not necessarily HR people are a little bit more on the conservative side, and that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. Sometimes they come to me because they are looking for freedom or resources or kind of no BS. But the laws in the United States anyway are changing quite a bit when it comes to what's allowed and what's not allowed, especially in certain states, uh, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, those kind of things. And so HR people are trying to have a better understanding of what can and can they not require of their employees when it comes to drugs, marijuana, cocaine, LSD, shrooms, all those things. So from like a kind of like HR standpoint, I'm like, okay, well, now I've experienced it, so I can kind of understand it from that perspective. But for me personally, there's just some blocks or things going on in my life that I feel like I needed some answers to. So I was really intentional about the 2 or 3 things that I needed and wanted. And I got some of those pieces of information. And really, right now, it's more like, hey, you just need to pull back and just let the universe, they have your back. Your guides have your back. They're going to put you in the right place. And for me, because I am so analytical and I'm always doing, like the lesson here is just chill, which is why the kind of July day, like I was planning this anyway, but it was reaffirmed in my journey that I just need to let things go and let the universe take the driver's seat a little bit more often.
And what does, because you're so analytical, I mean, you're in the HR space, and because of my experience in corporate America, with especially with defense contractors, I know that HR can definitely be more conservative and a little bit more, stringent. Um, I'm trying to think, how do I want to say this? I'll say it a different way. That's what I'll do. I'll say it a different way because it wasn't coming out correctly.
Okay.
Your journey in being analytical and your now journey of the psychedelic, how, because I know someone's listening, because there's a lot of analytical people on here, but they're definitely afraid to allow themselves to go outside of the box that they have constructed for themselves. It's not always the box that someone put them in. How did you come to that point, being so analytical and now coming to this and now marrying the two?
So I have found that there's a lot of freedom in being yourself. And when I think about like my past traumas or things that have happened to me in my life, I'm a domestic abuse survivor. I was married to an abuser for 7 years in a previous marriage, no children. But when I made that decision to leave him and sort of understood what was happening to me, because I was like living two lives, I was super successful in corporate, but then at home, it was a shit show. Like I had no control over anything that was going on in my life. And I was almost two people. So I feel like I found yoga and meditation at that time, which is kind of what led me to leave. It was sort of a rediscovery of myself. So when I have leaned in on spiritual practices, and it could be church, it could not be church, whatever it is, I feel like good things really happen and I really start to grow and evolve. So when this opportunity came about, I was like, I just can't say no because the universe is sending me this opportunity and let's see what happens. I think that while being analytical is really helpful in my career, what really attracts people to me as a business owner, even in a corporate environment, is that I have the freedom to do whatever the fuck that I want. So, and say what I want and live how I want. If I want to dance on TikTok, that's cool. But at the end of the day, like these activities that are happening, because I do spend a lot of time on TikTok. I love it. Absolutely love it. Like these are driving a product or a business. So everything that I'm doing is pushing or moving towards a course or something that is available to sell to help my audience. And I think that is very different than my early part of my entrepreneurial journey. I loved Twitter. I wrote a book on how to use Twitter in the early days, but I didn't have anything to sell. So it was like, I have lots of followers. I look successful, but I'm broke as fuck. And then it was like this, I was again living two lives, right? Like, hey, really happy, look like I'm really happy, loving life, but then I can't pay my bills. So now I have been really focused on a product or the mission or the vision of the business, still being myself, having conversations around that. But I am more confident and clear in saying, hey, if you need help in these three areas, this is exactly what I do. And I feel like for the most part, if you go to my social media or our website, which is will be revamped any day, and then there will be a lot more clarity. I'm just waiting for us to roll everything out. You'll be able to see exactly how I help because there's always a lot of confusion. Like, do you do corporate HR? No, I don't do those things. I help elevate HR professionals and managers through courses and training, a lot of them on demand and resources. So I don't want to ever go back into the HR world and write an employee handbook. But I am able to help train those HR people or those managers to be able to do those things with our resources and courses.
So thank you for that clarity around how you support your clients. So I want to make this very real for the people who are listening. So when we have someone who is in our operational vein and responsible for our employees or our team, and they may not be as effective as we'd like them to, we can send them to you. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I would say managers, leaders, even virtual assistants, these are all people on your
Really?
team. Oh, yes. That was one thing that I really love doing. I have a team of VAs that do all the things for me. And I think that most successful entrepreneurs at the six-figure level and seven, if they don't say that they don't have a team of VAs or employees or people working for them, it's a lie. There's no way that you can do it all. My goal is to support my people on my team while also supporting my clients, right? But I want to be able to have the freedom that entrepreneurship has, because really the difference between me and you working for ourselves versus working in corporate is like the freedom to be flexible in the creation, our time, how we build systems, and how we communicate. So that's why being able to have a good VA team or a good team is so important, because you make the rules. And I think there's a lot of, not really lies, but a lot of misinformation out there from entrepreneurs, and or they either look like they're really successful from the internet and they aren't really selling anything or making money off of it. They just keep going live over and over again. They are posting a bunch of dancing videos, or well, it's probably that they just, if they don't have a team, I don't know how they're able to scale, because that's why the HR consulting for me, like I either have to hire more. If I wanted to do HR consulting in corporations, I would have to have more people. So it'd be more like a staffing outsourced model. For me, it's online courses and access to those resources that people pay for. There's a transaction, and then they get support. On the other side of what I do within my business is I help people who want to reach my customers, human resources professionals and managers. I help them build content. So we do a lot of content development for HR technology companies, mostly well-funded companies in human resources or service provider. Create podcasts, create videos, create blog posts, white papers, ebooks, so they can put them on the funnel. Because I've been the person that they're selling to, and we regularly sell to those people with the things that we have in terms of our courses and content.
Thank you for that. And that definitely adds more clarity to me and for those that are listening. And you talked a little bit previously about, what you were, who you were when things weren't going well. Like you wrote the book, but you still weren't making the money you wanted to make. And I would love to know, what did you have to do or think or say to go from this person here to the person that I'm speaking to in this moment? Who did you have to become?
Who did I have to become? I think what was the most impactful for me is I had to quit thinking about all the activities and like trainings and learnings that I was looking at weren't for the person right now. So if I am thinking about like my business, I need to plan for who I'm going to be in 18, 24 months or 36 months. So when I make a decision to take a class, read a book, yes, it can help me in the now, but really it's fostering and helping grow the person, Jessica of the future. I call her FJ, future Jessica. I regularly talk to FJ in writings and journalings because I really do need to get to know her to understand, like, once I have an idea of who she is, how do I work backwards and what kinds of resources does she need? Do I need as present Jessica, PJ? What kind of things does she need right now that I can become the future Jessica?
Would you be open to sharing some things about FJ? Like, what does success look like for FJ?
It looks like just ease and flow. She just isn't bothered. I often think of myself, future Jessica, living at the beach. And that's kind of an ultimate goal for me is once my daughter, she is in 8th grade, so I have 4 more years. I want to relocate to like Mexico or Argentina or Venezuela, somewhere, Belize, I don't know yet, and live and build my life that way with my husband, me, and probably dogs and our cats. We'll see how that all shakes down. But I always see a beach because I love not just the ocean, but the sound of the ocean. Like, it's so soothing and comforting. I just feel at home. And that is what FJ, like she just feels like her energy is just like, you just want to come and stand by her or sit by her. And it's just soothing. And I want my customers, I want my customers and clients to feel that way too. I want them to say, like, when they work with me, when they buy a course, like they take our audio course or they invest in our programs, that they say, wow, I just feel like a warm blanket. Like I just feel safe. Safe to try new things, safe to, a lot of our HR work is around education, certification for HR professionals. So just feeling the confidence that they can step in to take that exam and have the positive result.
So I'm definitely in alignment with FJ, because making sure that I send out this safe, this ease, I really do feel that way. I've never been able to articulate the way you have today, but desiring to be a human duvet of sorts for others. Like, that's a
I love
goal.
that. I love that. Like
I
a
would love
weighted
to.
blanket, or like a
Yeah,
fuzzy, like one of those, I don't know, just really fuzzy, comforting blanket. I want
yeah,
people to feel that way. I
a
think
real
it's
thick
really,
snuggie.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think it's really important, though, to be really specific about who you let feel that way, right? Like, not everyone is going to be right for you. And I think that's a challenge in entrepreneurialism as well, is like you just want anyone and everyone, but you really want to attract the right people that are ready for you. And you have to have a real understanding of who you are as a person, as well as what you're selling, and how it's going to help someone so that you can reach those people. Because a lot of times you'll get the wrong person. It is very scary to tell someone, hi, you're not right for me, but here's some resources for you to help you. But when you make space for yourself in that way and for future clients, I do think it makes a difference. And word gets around. Like, she really takes this seriously and she does what she says she will do. And here's how it works.
So since I know, FJ, wanting to be safe and ease, did you present that, or did you present CJ when you were writing your book, Digitizing Talent?
So, good question. Um, Digitizing Talent is a digital recruiting book, and it's kind of the culmination of all my interviews and resources and the things that I've known about online recruiting. Even first starting when I started in HR, which was in 2001, I used dating websites to recruit candidates initially. Yeah. So like Yahoo Personals used to be free. And so I had a profile, and just like LinkedIn, you could search, they would list like where they worked, the radius, and I would send them a message and I would say, hey, my name's Jessica. I'm an HR manager at the time I was at Target. I'm looking for a department manager in electronics. I see that you work at Radio Shack. Would you be interested in talking about a job opportunity? And I recruited that way really successfully. It's very much evolved, also as I have evolved. But so when I'm telling the story, it's probably from current Jessica or future Jessica, but I'm talking about decisions and actions that I made in the past. I really just wanted a resource that was, in my mind, the most comprehensive one that's available to help make sense of all the things that are changing, because I feel like algorithms are shifting. We know this as entrepreneurs, if we're
Mm-hmm.
using social media. Now there's all these new laws with pay transparency. In New York, you have to put salary ranges. Same with Colorado, New York City, and then Colorado. Other states are going to be following. So how do you make sure that you're in compliance? And how do you attract the right people to your job postings online? HR and recruiting people aren't necessarily social media marketers, but they can have a lot of success in helping tell the story about who they are as an employer or as a hiring manager. And for me, my business, that's what I do. A lot of what I do online is telling the story about who I am. I can give snippets about my personal life. But at the end of the day, it's resources and education first, and then product and promotion secondary. And I feel like employment, communication, recruiting is the same is the same way. I want something that'll stand up that we can, in 2 years revise, because it'll be completely different. I mean, it's already changed since I finished the book. Things have shifted, but something that I'm really proud of. And I feel like if anybody picked it up, they would learn something from the content that is in there. Whether you are trying to recruit for your first hire as an entrepreneur, or you're working for a Fortune 50 company, and you're trying to think about how to communicate to your bosses or your boss's bosses, maybe a new program or something that you want to add in addition to help grow the recruiting or the HR department.
And with digitizing talent, creative strategies for the digital recruiting age, is there, because I want people to go get it. Matter of fact, let me just say that title again: Digitizing Talent, Creative Strategies for the Digital Recruiting Age. With that book, is there at least one, I don't want you to give it to who's all, because we need to go buy it, but is there one thing that you would tell us that we either need to have at the forefront of our minds, or something that we should even just consider that maybe we haven't considered at all when it comes to finding talent and keeping talent?
As entrepreneurs, I feel like finding ways to connect with candidates is really important. So whether it's virtual assistants, or maybe it's your first hire for the organization, so having a place for people to get to know you. And honestly, a lot of my full-time hires have been in Facebook groups. But I wrote a blog post with information about the job, and then I posted in a very specific like marketing automation Facebook group or something that I needed, and I'll make hires from there. But having your systems in place first is really important. It's a lot like SEO. If you're familiar with search engine optimization and branding, recruiting is very much the same way. But you need to have a way for them to apply, a way for them to get paid, a way for them to understand what they should be doing and when they should be doing it. I think those are all things that it's more than just posting a job. Like there's so many other steps in between.
That's okay. So you brought up a very good point, something that I harp on literally at people who are looking to grow their business so that they can one day scale the business. And that's clarity around KPIs.
Yes.
Can you talk more about that?
I have found that, okay, so when you're a solopreneur, and I have been there, it's like you have all the answers to all the things. So we have to think about ways to kind of plug our pieces of our brain and put them into SOPs or resources so that people can do the things, because that's what they're there to do. I use a project management tool to help understand and also provide training. So each one of my team uses Trello, and then we do a lot of videos. So I do a lot of training, and then I have different people in different roles that are project managers for those things, so that we can understand the project consistently, what they're doing, and if people need support. So I kind of treat my team like a scrum almost. We have scrum calls, we have stand-up calls twice a week. And then I meet with some people individually, especially if we're working on different projects, but everybody has their own Trello board. So there are different metrics and different numbers that each person has to meet. But at the end of the day, the most important number is sales, expenses, and revenue, right? Like at the end of the day, like after I have paid all my bills, how much are we paying ourselves? And then where do roadblocks exist? And you as a leader, it's mostly generally you as the leader is the roadblock. Like a lot of times I'll be the one slowing things down because I'm busy, or maybe I have a money block and it's coming up again. And it's like, oh, I don't want to think about this thing. So being aware of those, the key is systems for all those things. So if you don't want to deal with having to pay invoices, get an office manager or have your bookkeeper take care of those things. And she can send you, or he can send you, the weekly report to let you know what they've done, what they haven't done, what's missing, maybe what is outstanding in terms of payment, receiving
So
receivables.
I'm loving all these words, and the reason I'm loving all these words, number one, I'm dealing with this every day. Number two, I'm going through the the project management certification. So you talked about Scrum and all those things, and Trello and all that. So I'm really appreciating this level of conversation. I don't get to talk about this as often as I'd like. So even though this is not a product endorsement or anything like that, can you tell me why you chose Trello after over so many? Because I know that project management, making sure that we keep things organized, that is something that we should be talking about more because it's so important because you can lose clients. Your attrition rates are definitely backed by how you're setting things up and keeping things updated for sure and organized. So I would love to know why you chose that one.
Um, my team, I had someone on my team research and they're like, this looks like the best option for us. We were using Google Sheets and Google Drive, and it was a nightmare. And we had one spreadsheet for everything and then a lot of other things in other places. But it wasn't good for me. I didn't know what was going on. And then my team couldn't keep track of me because one of the good things about me, but also one of the challenges working with me is that I have ideas like 300 a day, and it can be really overwhelming for my team. So by having a Trello board, it's like post-it notes and dates of when things are accountable, but in a digital form. So I can see what's going on, and then we can all be more organized and accountable. I have my own Trello board, and people will tell me, hey, this is late. That's their job, is to tell me, you owe me this. Yes, you made the product. You said you wanted to launch something new, but they are holding me accountable just like I am also holding them accountable when I'm responsible for something else. Trello for me has been really helpful because the first virtual assistant that I hired, I think everybody will do this, but I burnt her out. Like, I don't even know how many hours she was working. She was billing me for 40. I'm pretty sure once she left, because all she did is she sent me an email, I'm out, peace. And I was like, what? what happened? And then I realized how much she was actually doing and what probably the equivalent amount of work it was. I don't think she was invoicing me for all the work, for all the hours. I think I just kept adding it. So we didn't really have the relationship where she could say, hey, this is too much, or I'm at capacity. You need to bring somebody else on board, which is why I have regular stand-up calls and meetings with people to see where they're at and if they need additional support, or if my expectations are out of line. Because I don't make graphics anymore in Canva or Photoshop. Other people do those things. I don't write code. That's other people on my team's jobs. I don't edit our podcasts. Someone else takes care of those things. I'm the talent for my organization and the CEO. So it was the only one that we've tried. I've tried a few others over the years, but as of recent, this was the one that really worked. And I have been an entrepreneur for a really long time. Let me just preface this. But I have been an entrepreneur who kind of played around. So I got fired from my job. It was the best decision that I never made for myself. This is 2009. Okay. And I became an entrepreneur full time. And I really kind of messed around. I made some money. I made my first hire. Things started moving. And then I got really, really scared. I felt really undeserving of like $30,000 a month that was coming in. And I was frozen with fear. Like, it was too much. Like, my mom told me that, you're rich. That is too much. And you and I know that $30,000 a month, while if somebody here is making $30,000 a month, good for you, but that is nothing. Right. Like, I still have to make payroll and pay my bills, pay Trello every month and everything else. So I kind of self-sabotaged myself. And then I had some personal things happen and I ended up taking a corporate job. So I went back in with a lot of money, which I thought was going to be the answer to all my problems. And what I realized was I am unemployable, and that's okay. I don't like playing the corporate game. So then I came out and I used my severance that I negotiated to get out of there, um, to basically fund the business and kind of bring it back up. And so then when I got back into that space where I was making $20,000, $30,000 a month, those feelings started to come back. And that's when I knew I needed help. I needed a coach. I needed a mastermind. I needed resources because this was going to keep happening over and over and over again until I learned the lesson that I needed to learn. And that is the best decision that I ever made, was the decision to get a life coach and to join a mastermind, because it has 10x my business.
And I think, I don't want to assume, but I think I know about the mastermind that you're in. Would that be accurate?
You've been.
So let me just say, your mastermind is amazing.
It is.
those are some very knowledgeable, wonderful, easy breezy, talented, formidable women in your mastermind. I had the pleasure of hanging out with them in Mexico. What was that, last October, November?
Yeah. I missed that
And
one, but yes, you were there, and I'm sure it was amazing. I had a speaking engagement, so
okay.
but it's I never knew that I needed people in that way. Being an entrepreneur can be really lonely, and let me just say that if you're at the $5,000 a month mark or the $40,000 a month, it doesn't change. Like, you still feel lonely, which is why you've got to find your people. And a lot of times, most times, you have to pay for access to those people, because high performing people don't just sit around at the coffee shop and wait for you. Like, think about it. Like, sometimes you go to an event and it's an open networking, doesn't cost any money, which money isn't always the qualifier, but it's like, I got to wade through all these yahoos. And then I end up wasting my time. So the mastermind gets you access to trading, absolutely, but it also gets you access to people with different ideas. And the nice thing, though, I love about it is, like, people are willing to share. Like, if they're like, I use this person for AdWords and they're working for me, they're going to hand over their name, and that might be the one thing that changes your business. For me, I needed the accountability. And I just needed somebody to say, like, oh yeah, I have a sales slide deck. Let me send it to you. And then I'm like, oh, I should be selling in my webinars. That's a whole new thing for me, because I was just doing the webinars, giving back to the community, which is fine. But I wasn't actually going, hey, this is how I help people and make money, and make a living. So those are the things that made a huge difference for me. And I've been in that particular group this is my 4th year.
Oh, dope. I didn't know you were a 4-year. You're a vet.
Yeah. I got to find another mastermind now. So, like, and that's the other part. Like, you got to up level yourself. So I'm like, future Jessica, like, that's what she needs. I can see. So I have another event that I'm going to go to in March and see if that might be a fit for me. I'm excited to attend. It's an event. And then I'm sure I'm going to be upsold. So I want to experience the upselling in the event, because I'm going to be taking notes. Like, okay, how's this feeling? What's this looking like? And then if it is, I think it's a good opportunity, then making the investment in those kind of those things. But my husband and I remember when I had the initial call about the mastermind, and my husband was like, that's a lot of money. Like, I'd never paid that much money for anything. And he said, like, that's too much money. And I said, but what if I do it and it changes my business? Like, if I don't do it, then I already know what's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. But if I do it and nothing happens, I'm just out X amount of dollars. Like, money's just money. But if I do join and it changes everything, then that could be, like, I could be on a rocket ship. And that's exactly what happened. Now, was working all kinds of crazy hours to learn the things and unlearn habits, and therapy and life coaches, and like it was a job. It was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of work, but it's the reason I'm talking to you today and why I'm a seven-figure earner, which still kind of blows my mind, frankly, because I don't feel like that different.
Right. I get that. And thank you for saying, I'm bringing up the fact that entrepreneurship can be lonely. And no, no. For those of you listening,
It is lonely.
lonely. I'm experiencing something right now. I talk about this on my stories often. That at the beginning of the year, because I'm making a decision that this is the year I hit seven figures in my business. I'm removing all distractions, and what that has looked like is being a single entrepreneur, removing myself from every single dating app,
Mm.
and I mean every single one. And I have learned since removing them that I was manufacturing connection through dating apps, even if I never met those people. And now having to be intentional about the connection, but then you're talking to people who don't have either a money mindset, a growth mindset, just being intentional about life in general. And I don't want to talk about what some celebrity did. I don't even care about who went to jail that I don't know. Like, I don't watch the news, so I'm not bombarded with negativity. And I really want to talk about, like, oh, what's your happiest day, or what are you building now, or those types of things. And so I'm even looking for a mastermind now. There's two individuals that have done very well, and I'm going to their events. One is at the end of the month to do just that. So, but thank you for bringing that up. And because you understand what I call the loneliness of leadership, I believe that that is something that definitely assists you and supports you with your work of providing that performance coaching for high achieving CEOs that I know you
Hmm.
do.
Yep.
Can you talk more about that?
Um, and really the mastermind has kind of helped me come to this place, because as everybody in the community is asking questions and looking for resources, as you grow your business, they're asking HR and leadership questions, because you're really not anything without your team. But what I found is that when we are focused on our own personal growth journeys, right? Who we are going to be, who we're going to, like our FJs, your team is not necessarily in that space too. So how do we support our team in helping them and encouraging them to grow? And or sometimes it means eliminating individuals from your team that don't also have that growth mindset. But in general, a lot of people don't know that they have the permission to seek out resources to grow for themselves. And I don't want the people that I brought on in this journey on my team to feel like they've been left behind. So I'm very transparent. So performance coaching helps really focus driven CEOs and high achievers. They can also be in like an individual contributor or a manager of a high performing team that is, on the rocket ship, and they are like, hey, I need some tools to help my team grow. We have to do those things beyond just hiring and firing and employee write-ups. A lot of it is in what you say and how you
Mm-hmm.
say it and how you show up to support them. If somebody has an idea, like how you respond and how you really listen to the things that they need. Because if you are a high performer, I've found that many of them have this kind of no BS mindset. And so sometimes when you bring that to feedback or your coaching, it can really hurt your team. So, how can we not change you, but soften it a little bit, give you some
Mm-hmm.
emotional IQ, empathy with your words? Because I know that we care. We wouldn't be in this if we didn't care. But we have to take the perspective of our people and give them some tools and resources so they can grow with you. Otherwise, you're always hiring, you're always training, and that is going to impact your ability to scale and grow.
Mhm.
If it's a revolving door on your team, and sometimes turnover is good, but if it's a revolving door on your team, it's not the people that are the problem, it's us. And that's really what performance coaching is about. It's about getting your mind right in how you lead and engage and grow your people so they have permission to grow too.
How has that impacted your life, bringing on this new area of high performance CEO coaching?
Um, so it's been interesting because I've always really done this in my HR side, right? But it's
Right.
normally employment law focused. So this is just taking all the things that I know as an HR leader, but also as someone who is a CEO and a high performing type A myself, and how I've had to shift. So, like when I hired my virtual assistant and she just said, "Peace, I'm out of here." Um, I spent a lot of time thinking about what did I do that, or what didn't I not do that could have helped her.
Mhm.
And that's what being performance coaching is designed to do. But it's, you don't want to have, you don't want to have four more people walk out the door. You want to just lose one or two before you shift your mindset and shift your approach. Um, People who are focused on growth, it's not just about us as growth, but it's about the people that we surround them ourselves with. That's why the mastermind's important, but it's also about the people on our team. Because if they don't feel empowered to make changes and grow and learn too, you're going to continue to be hiring and training. And honestly, that's all we're ever going to be doing. And that's no fun either. Like, I want to go to the beach. I want to, this year, I'm going to London and Paris, my plan, and a bunch of other places. But and then I'm going to take July off, right? So how do I get my team to that point where they can support the organization while I'm out? But how can I also support them? Because it's not just a paycheck; it is more than that. And we're enhancing their life in some way, not just monetarily. And so we have to think about those things in how we present ourselves and communicate with our team.
For certain. And I, by the way, I love London and Paris.
Yeah.
I have been to both multiple times. If you haven't, you're gonna have a great time. If you have, you already know that.
I
Um,
have. My daughter hasn't. I The one place I do want to
oh,
go in the UK is I'm going to Stonehenge, and that's
ooh,
my plan. And I, because we haven't been, and I'm bringing all my crystals and all my things with me to charge them up. So I'm super excited.
are you gonna catch a full moon while at Stonehenge?
I don't know. I need to look at the schedule. It's but I might be able to make it work. I think I'm going to be over there for almost 2 weeks because
Oh,
it just so
then yeah.
happens there's two conferences around the same time, one at the beginning and one at the end of my trip. So we'll see, but it would be great if it was. I mean, it was a full moon this week, and that was
Right.
awesome.
And then everybody's blaming their craziness on it.
It is true. As an HR person, I can say that like crazy shit goes down when you're in HR with employees during the full moon. Like more people lose their shit, more drama happens, more chaos happens with employees during the full moon. I didn't believe it until I started tracking it.
Mm,
So
and tracking is important for sure.
yes,
So
Those KPIs,
yes, let's track the crazy on the KPI.
full moon KPIs.
Indeed. So one thing I would love to know is, well, one thing I would like to do is demystify this thought that seven-figure earners are without problems or
Mm.
without worry or without challenges, because sometimes people look at you all and say, I mean, they're good now. They're making, their business is making $1 million. I mean, what could they possibly be griping about? Or, I mean, aren't there's nothing they could say to me to make me feel any type of way. So I would love for you not to get in your business, not to create a woe is me version of you at all, but anything that you are either working towards or implementing now that you like, look, like this is a challenging thing. And yes, I'm a seven-figure earner and I'm still dealing with this.
Ooh. I think when you're a seven-figure earner, and believe me, I thought the same thing. Like, oh, they have it easy. Even like multiple seven figures and eight-figure earners. Like, it seems like, woo, they're traveling the world in their private jet and all is good. But it's just different problems or like a different level. Um, I think, when I think about like revenue, right? Like if you have a low ticket offer, like most of my stuff is low ticket, it's anywhere between like $7 to $599. That just means I need more sales. Like I have to scale and the volume. So we have been testing, not unlike probably most of you, some different funnels and what's working. So, but once you get it to work, I have this quiz. And if you want to go creep on it, it took us 4 months to put this thing together. It's hrcertificationquiz.com. It's a conditional quiz for HR professionals to go in and figure out what they qualify for. It's like 7 questions. So super easy. And then it directs you to resources. And then you go on an automation journey where hopefully they will buy a course or get some additional resources from me. But I am moving from selling individual pieces of this HR certification resources. I have, I don't know, probably 15 different things we sell. It's too many. So we're moving to a subscription. So how do we move to the subscription model and not impact my revenue? Because it's going to be something very different. And I would rather, like, you can buy my full set of resources for, I think it's $599 right now for HR certification, but we're moving to $49 a month because most people end up taking 2 tests. And I've learned that from the quiz. So we've used the quiz for the last 4 or 5 months just to see where people are coming from. Right now, it's only being promoted mostly on TikTok. So they're coming from my link tree. I haven't ran a lot of ads. I don't think we've run any ads yet. So I've just been using it as a survey research. Like is their employer paying for this? How do they like to study, all that stuff? And if they buy in the sequence, then I know where they bought through this organic. So now we're duplicating the quiz and the landing pages so I can see what source or some UTM codes to see what source they're coming from. So just like you would do. But I need that $49 quiz. I need to sell 2,000 of those a month. Right. So I can meet a certain amount of revenue for us, but it'll be reoccurring. Right. So once I figure out what the cost per acquisition is, then, and we know the resource, TikTok, Facebook ads, email, whatever, then I can just turn that up. And so it will go next level. But it's just that my sales number for me for the year is 3 million. So that might be a different number than yours, and that's totally fine. But the method to get there is probably exactly the same as yours. I just have to turn it to 11. You might be turning yours to 5. It might feel like 11 to you right now, which that is totally okay. But I have to have the resources, the people, and the support to be able to turn that to 11. So there's a lot more ad spend and different things that are involved. That's one example. And then really it's just our team has gotten bigger. So I don't have 5 people, I have 12 people. So how do you manage all the different projects, and how do we stay focused and checked in? Because we have like I have a new application for like awards that we're doing this year for our HR technology companies. So working on all those things. And then my salesperson going out and doing all the communication, the conferences that happen that we have to promote that. All while still selling my HR like talking about my HR certification quiz and my products, but that different revenue stream that I have. So I have right now, I would say 4 regular revenue streams that come through. So how do you balance those? When are the launches happening? What does that look like? It is a lot.
I mean,
It's
but
a lot.
I believe that that's why you don't go from someone who just decides to be an entrepreneur one day to the next month, week, or whatever, and then be a seven-figure earner, because it took that entire journey to even know
Hmm.
how to properly lead that, delegate that, manage that. And I was talking to someone last night, and they were like, I want to make $2 million. I'm like, have you ever sold anything? And like, I did this one thing for 500. I'm like, baby, the thing, the journey it takes to go from 500 to 2 million. It's like a kindergartner saying, I want to command an army unit in Afghanistan. Like, there are so many things you don't know. There's so many things you don't know that you don't know that you don't know. So my thing is, I definitely get it, but that's what life looks like now
Yeah.
for you.
Well, you just have to think about it from that future Jessica standpoint. Like, what
Right.
kinds of things does she need? Because when you're in kindergarten, you don't know. But when you graduate kindergarten, you have a little bit more information. So you can be like, oh, I need these three things. And then it just keeps going and it never stops. What's really important is to make time for those kind of things of self-discovery and conversations, right? Which is why I went on my retreat this last week, because I needed to make space to really understand future Jessica and who she's going to become and the kinds of resources that she and my team need, and my family needs, in order for us to reach this goal, this number or this milestone or whatever it is that I want in my life. But yeah, you don't just rip the band-aid off and go, oh, $3 million. It's here. Like, there's a lot of steps in between. I don't know if you've ever seen the picture of an iceberg,
Oh, yes.
where you're looking at the top and it's like, oh man, she did it. Like, her book came out, all this stuff. But underneath the surface is a lot of shit that you had to go through and learn before you've even gotten there. And anybody that you see on the internet has either spent a lot of time with the iceberg underneath and you see them now, or they're not making any money and they're just faking it.
And
And
that's just
really,
that.
that's okay too. But
Yeah.
just know that when you see someone's life a certain way, it might not be really how their life really is, which is why having a community of people, connecting with Asa and others in, his circle and his space, I think are really important, because you can waste a lot of time with people who are not who they say they are, and their business isn't working like they say that it is. So guard yourself, your time, really closely. I don't take a lot of meetings with outside people for that reason. Like, you have to go through, and super successful people, other people are like that. Like, we can't just dial in Elon Musk. I don't know if I'd
No,
want to right now, but if I did, like, it would take, like, I would have to know somebody that knows somebody to get to him. And
exactly.
that's, yeah, and it's the same way. So you want to make sure that you're open and you're receiving and available for the right type of people. And I want those type of people to find me, but the right type of people to find me know that it's going to take some time to get to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. And that's okay. They're operating in the same way, and they don't know. Sometimes really people are really good at looking like they got their shit together when they don't.
Okay, so I have to say it because it's the second time you said it. So I have to say this now. Before I ask my one of my last questions. So in my journey of signing my first ever six-figure client last year, I was looking for companies that were doing appointment setting, found this individual on Instagram. Um, I mean, when I say this guy was like, he was polished. Like, he had a wife, had a new baby. I mean, this dude was, he could have been an actor and a well-paid actor. I mean, his stuff was wonderful. So we have a meeting. The meeting goes well, and something's tugging at my inside, like something's tugging. And I'm like, this doesn't, I need to keep digging. Why do I need to keep searching for this guy? So I keep searching, searching, searching. I said, you know what? We need to have another meeting. So at another meeting, I asked him, I said, I looked at your publications, but I couldn't find any links to the publication that you were in. And as someone who's been in Huffington Post and Forbes and didn't have to pay for it, I'm very open with the links to those publications. And he said to me, bro, that just gets people in the door. And I said, excuse me, are you telling me that those those logos on your website, sir, are fake? He said, yeah, I don't have those. They just get people in the door. I'm like, I almost take offense to that because I'm thinking about the over decade that I have spent in the entrepreneur space to even get anything like that. And you just like haphazardly throw logos on your website. Like I wasn't here for it at all. But the reason I say almost because being offended is a waste of time. It wasn't that deep. That's his struggle, his issue, his life journey, not mine at all.
Mhm.
So now I said that to my one of my last questions. I am addicted to joy. Addicted. Like I have an issue, or I have a non-issue issue. And what I mean by that is I am definitely aware that entrepreneurs have struggles and they've come through hell and high water and tears and sometimes even blood. Um, to get where they are. And that does not motivate me. Joy motivates me. So I say that to say, I am wanting to know about something that you were able to experience or acquire as a result of you being a seven-figure earner that you like to share with us.
So something that creates joy that I have acquired. I think just time, like more time
Mm,
for me. For example, this morning and most days I'm at the yoga studio and I have been doing this every day for over a year. I go to hot
mm,
yoga. It's just like 7 minutes from my house. And that space, um, is, I can't imagine not being the person that is not making time for this, but I just feel so grounded and centered when I come back. Like things are just in place. And I think back to, times in my life when I've really grown, and it's when I am dialed into yoga and my spiritual path. So um, there's just something about being in Shavasana and laying there and feeling so much love for yourself. And it doesn't happen every day, like all the time, like not at like where I'm just beaming. But when it does happen, it's like it just stops time and space.
I get
So
that. So it seems
I
like
want
yoga is
I
like
want
your
everybody
church.
to have that.
Is yoga like your church?
We do call it yoga church on Sundays. So
Mm,
yeah, I mean I feel like it's fantastic for me. I have lost over 40 pounds. I'm doing the work, but
mhm.
like mentally, the clarity that I have, and just the information and resources that I have access to that I didn't before, the confidence. Um, I am a plus size woman, and I decided that this time was going to be different when I went back into yoga. And so I'm always in the front of the class. I am doing the best that I can, loving myself and doing it in a bra and yoga pants and just being me. Like it's without judgment. I'm not judging other people when I'm in yoga, but I was so worried about other people going, who does she think she is? And I was like, fuck it. This is what I'm most comfortable in as myself. And then earlier this year, I started filming on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, doing yoga poses too, because I think it's really important for different bodies to be out there, and doing yoga and meditation and those things.
Mhm.
But for me, that's been the one thing that has really, I think I've always been moving towards this place, but it was kind of just the next level to really get me there to that place where things that were really hard before or impacted me a certain way, they don't any longer. Like I'm just in a better headspace because of it.
Nice to know that. Very nice to know that. So, as we wrap up, I would love to know if there's anything additional you would like to share with those that are co-creating this with us, those that are listening and or watching. If there's anything you would like to Share.
I feel like we've covered 3,000 topics in our time
We
together, but yeah,
have.
we've went everywhere, literally everywhere.
Yeah.
I would just say that, like the spiritual portion, like really understanding and getting to know yourself has been really key, for me. And it's just that inner knowing that has helped me, through this journey and will continue to help me, beyond. It doesn't have to be yoga or psychedelics or whatever. It could be whatever it is for you. It could be church. It could be prayer. It could be marathon running. But it's really important for you to find your thing that helps you feel complete.
Mhm.
And I'm there for it, whatever it is.
Awesome. Well, Jess, thank you so much for saying yes. Thank you so much for being as knowledgeable, as uh, funny, as clear as you are. I appreciate that. This has not been a waste of my time at all, and I'm sure that I can share that sentiment with the listeners. Um, Please know that you are welcome back anytime. Anytime you have another book or anything. For those of you who would love to get closer acquainted with Jess or even work with her, please go to www.workology.com. That's www.workology.com. And I'm going to say it another time because I don't think you understood that you need to go over there like now. www.workology.com. Go there, find out how she can support you because she can. You just spend an hour with us. You know she can. So let's not act crazy. Let's just go. Let's just give her the money. Just give her the money.
Hey, it's money well spent.
It's money well spent. So please go to workology.com. Remember, if you would love for the Wealth Spa to support you in your journey from becoming an industry expert to an industry icon because you are addicted to fame, affluence, scale, and legacy, go to apply.livingicon.co, or you can go to asaleveaux.com and get it there. And all of this is in the show notes. So in case you're driving and you're scrambling to find a pin in your purse or anything like that, just go to the show notes. It'll be there. And as always, I am Asa Leveaux, dreams and radical blessings.